Today I'm showing two decks by Victoria Iva, the Black Tarot and the IVA Tarot. The Black Tarot, which was released in 2020, is perfect for shadow work, with black and white Gothic-inspired imagery, thick matte cards and concise guidebook. The IVA Tarot, newly released, is bold and surreal, modern black and white art on glossy cards with a digital guidebook via QR code. Side by side, you can see Iva's style evolve, from introspective and shadowy to bold and unconventional. Both decks are unique, beautifully crafted and perfect for collectors or anyone exploring the abstract side of tarot. Out my ducks, it's Simon here. Welcome back to the Hermit's Cave. How is everybody doing? It's Sunday morning and I've been out, been to the barber's for a bit of a pamper. I've been and done some food shopping and now I get to sit and play with my decks. And for me, that's a perfect Sunday. It's been a lovely weekend. I've had no plans. I've just taken each hour as it's come and just thoroughly enjoyed it. But I thought I'd sit down with a cuppa and talk about these two decks that Cheryl from Oneness Emporium, check out her shop in the description, sent for Spotlight. Now, technically she sent IVA Tarot, which is beautiful in this slidey box rose petal finish, but an older deck, so the one that came before this, the Black Tarot, also by Victoria Iva, she thought she'd put it in as well and send both. So I thought what we could do today is have a look at the similarities and the differences. And there are some of both. There are some similarities. You can tell it's Victoria Iva's artwork, but in terms of kind of the genre of the decks, they're quite different. They're both published by Brigh, or Brigh, however you want to say it. And yeah, I thought we'd have a look. One thing I did notice is on the first deck, it says the Black Tarot by Victoria Iva. I can't see her name anywhere on this. It's not in the bump on the back. It does, tell you to go to the website for Brigh. It's got Brigh on there, or Brigh, but her name doesn't appear anywhere. The title is in the middle on this checker design, IVA Tarot. So that is her name, IVA Tarot, but it would have been IVA Tarot. That is her name, Victoria Iva, but you would have thought that she would be mentioned somewhere on the packaging design, but not so. Okay, so yeah, and just to say as well, she's a very talented Russian illustrator. So we'll start off looking at the Black Tarot. Now this has been out for about 5 years, I believe. I think it was around 2020, whereas this is brand new, 2025. And then we'll look at each one, talk about them, and then I will do a side-by-side, just showing the images. So I'm going to pop the IVA Tarot to one side just for a second. I'm going to bring the camera down so that we can get a closer look at the cards. Okay, so as you can see, the Black Tarot with Victoria's name here. It is in a tuck box. Doesn't fold down at the other side as well. It comes with a little book. Oh, they've got black edges. And I have taken a cursory look at this when Cheryl and I did Spotlight, but this will be my first time really looking at each card. So I do find that quite difficult to read because it's very small font and it's white on black, but it says, enter the darkness of the Black Tarot, where sparks of light punctuate the midnight realm. From the incredible imagination of artist Victoria Iva, these 78 cards will offer penetrating insight into the depths of your mind and soul. Wow, those letters were really dancing around as I was trying to read them. Okay, so yeah, pretty standard tuck box. It does have a nice feel to it. It's not flimsy, it's quite a sturdy one. This is the guidebook that you get, and it says, based on the tarot interpretations of Arthur Edward Waite. So we get for each card a meaning, symbolism, upright and reverse. And I'm really pleased that symbolism is explained here, because some of the decks, some of the card images are quite abstract. As you can see here, I really didn't know what I was looking at for the longest time. And it says here, a female figure prepares to swallow the light in order to nourish her child. Even in darkness, the light is necessary for life. She does what is necessary to grow and protect her unborn offspring. So, yeah, and then for the minors, we do still get meaning, symbolism, upright and reverse, but you're getting 2 to a page rather than like this. And obviously the text has become much smaller to be able to fit it on. So that's a little guidebook. People always like to know pages, don't they? How many pages? 86 pages. And it's pretty much just on the card meanings. We do get a very short introduction, a little bit about the deck, 3 card spread of past, present and future, helpful, and then tips, and then we go straight in. But, you know, it's a guidebook, so... All right, so look at this. These are the backs. I like the backs when they're plain like this. Kind of reminds me of one of my favourite decks. It's the same cardstock, actually. Yeah, same cardstock, that nice matte. This is the Tarot of the Holy Spectrum. This is black as well, but it's got like a marble effect. It actually reminds me of some worktops. You know, you go into some kitchens and they have those black marble work surfaces. It reminds me a little bit of that. The deck is already edged, and I believe it's a standard tarot size. Certainly looks to be, yeah, exactly the same size as a standard tarot deck. Okay. So this deck is designed for shadow work. I mean, yeah, it really lends itself to that. Look at that magician. For shadow work and deep introspection. And we talked about that a lot last night in the... I can see it now. You know, on the day, I just couldn't make out what this was. I mean... It's very abstract because there's no head or anything, but you can see the belly here and the leg. Yeah, we talked about shadow work and introspection a lot last night as we come to the dark half of the year. So it's great to be looking at decks like this as well that would also support that. As you can see, it's a monochromatic palette, black, grey, and white. Love this for the chariot. Look at that, the charioteer up there. That's like my Gaia statue that I've got. Yeah, it's quite abstract. It's Gothic-inspired imagery. And it really helps, I think, to explore the darker aspects of the psyche. Look at that for the Hanged Man. Over this huge kind of abyss, this portal. death. I quite like how they've done the font as well. It's not intrusive in any way. And you've got Roman numerals. This cardstock is 350 GSM as well. And it's called KD. I've not heard of KD before, but it is a copyrighted material. 350 KD matte paper with, as I said, with black edges. So I'll just show the majors, because there will be a full side-by-side comparison. Look at the world card. Yeah, okay. So that's the Black Tarot. And we're now going to look at the IVA Tarot. And as I said, it doesn't credit her, but it's got her name in the title of the deck. So it says, discover a tarot deck like no other, where Gothic elegance meets pop culture flair. Each card is a unique blend of fragility and power, with striking imagery inspired by articulated dolls, Gothic fashion, and iconic films. From the fool's haunting duality to the magician's boundless potential, this deck explores the depths of human experience with a modern twist. Whether you're new to tarot or a seasoned reader, we always have to have that line, don't we? These cards will guide you on a journey of intuition, mystery, and transformation. Okay, now this one says scan to go to the booklet, whereas the Black Tarot, there was a booklet included. So just bear that in mind. And yeah, as I mentioned, this is a little drawer. Now the cards are glossy in this version, as you can see from the ring light here. Whereas if I place the Black Tarot on top, and I much prefer this cardstock, much prefer. And I thought it would be kind of like that with they've invested in a rose petal matte box and tray. Okay, so the backs on this one is this design here. And they've got, well, I was going to say they're not edged, but the card itself is quite white, so almost gives it like a white finish. And the contrast between the two, they're both the same thickness, exactly the same thickness, but you've got black and white, so you've got real contrasting decks here. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that to one side for now, and we'll have a little chat about this deck. So here we've got the title at the top with the number as well, and we have our Fool. So this deck, the IVA Tarot, features her signature abstract and surreal art that she's known for. It's very modern. I mean, both decks are quite modern, but in a different style. Again, it's a black and white design, but with a more, how can I word it, a more high visual contrast compared to the Black Tarot. This is also printed on 350 GSM cardstock, but as I said, it's glossy compared to the matte. And there isn't a book, but there is a book, but not a physical book in the deck, but there is one that you can access via a QR code. But yeah, the images in this are really cool. They're bold, unconventional, and I don't know, they just kind of challenge the traditional tarot imagery, I had to look twice then. I was like, I'm going to get shut down. It was the way I think the light caught. I was like, oh my gosh. This kind of reminds me of the leather man in American Horror Story. Yeah, but it really challenges. I love this moon card. The more traditional, I mean, that's okay, but you know, but really, it would have been cool to have the 3 luminaries, very similar, perhaps just that design, but each with a face would have been really, really cool. But do love the Judgment card. I think the Judgment card is epic. And I think it's just a symmetrical image. And then our World card. All right, so let's do a side-by-side comparison of the two. I've got to make sure that that light isn't reflecting on the images. So let's move that like that. There we go. All right. I'll be back at the end to offer my views on the comparison. Okay, so that's the two decks side by side. This deck also had a little extra card that tells you about Victoria. So a full name, even though the creditor on the box is Victoria Iva, it's Iva Nova. And it tells you a little bit about her. Wow, she's so young. I mean, no denying, even if this deck or these decks aren't for you in terms of their artistic style, very talented young lady. This would have been better in this deck, wouldn't it? Because they don't credit her, and there's no book, and she's not mentioned on the box. So having this in this deck would have been quite useful, I would have thought. All right, so my thoughts on the two. What I will say is I do have a clear favourite. I'm not sure if you can guess which one, but I have a clear favourite. What I will say about this deck in particular, the Iva, is that the images are very striking. They're easy to see, very clear. Whereas this one, you do have to, and it's light on the camera, but I'm looking at it through the naked eye and that's very dark. But you do have to spend some time studying this deck and looking at the details, because you can miss it on first glance. But if you're doing this for introspection and shadow work anyway, that's what I would recommend you do, is to really, take time and drink in these images. So the Black Tarot focuses on shadow, introspection, and emotional depth. The Iva Tarot, as I said, is more bold. It's more surreal, and encourages fresh, unconventional readings. I think together they showcase the evolution of Victoria's work and her artistic vision. You can really see, I mean, whilst they're both very different, I can tell they're by the same creator. And, I would probably have them on the same shelf together, but to work in different, for different purposes. I think they're perfect for collectors or anyone really exploring the abstract and the darker side in tarot. So whether for introspection or for thought-provoking readings, I do think these decks are unique. They are quite beautiful and both worth exploring. Now, my favourite is this one. I like this and it's interesting, and I'm glad I've got it in my collection. The only thing that freaks me out about this is the dolls, particularly in the minors. There's a lot of freaky dolls. And I would like a little bit more, more of an image than a doll. Whereas the Black Tarot has depth, a lot of depth to it. There's a lot in each of the scenes. And as I said, it's not as confronting, it's not as stark. You do have to spend some time studying the images. I mean, look at that for the lovers. That really takes you into the card to see the two people. We've got a moon in the background. It's very dark and shadowy. But for shadow work and introspection, this is just going to be brilliant. I'm going to focus a little bit more on the minors because I didn't talk about the minors, but you'll have just seen them. But all these surreal landscapes, dark staircases, look to the light at the top. It's like going on a journey within, and I find it quite exciting. So this one for me. And I also like the fact that for the minors, some are very pippish. And I like that, like this. that kind of reminds me of a black and white version of something like, I don't know, Wild Unknown. Or, I mean, look at that for the Knight of Cups. Isn't that just beautiful? Haunting and beautiful. There's a lot of similarities between the two, particularly when we get to the Pentacles. So let's stop at this one. Two of Pentacles. We've got this kind of, you know, swirling motion, the two spheres. And then when we get to Pentacles here, we've got very, I mean, it's different, but you can see where the artist is coming from. You know, again, we've got the swirly motion like we have here. What else did I see that was similar? Was it the 5? No, it wasn't the 5. Ah, the 7 with the roots. You can see a similarity there. Again, when we get to the 8 with the juggler. So there are kind of decks that, whilst very different in art style, do kind of complement each other as well. So yeah, that's kind of my take on both of them. I think they're both really unique, and I'm all about bringing decks into my collection now that offer something different, and they both do. And I do think that perhaps in time, the more I work with this, the more it will grow on me. But I'm going to use this, I think, in November as well to do, I'll pull it upside down, haven't I? They're the backs, to do some introspection, some shadow work. So, but beautiful, really, really beautiful decks. All right, so the Black Tarot and the IVA Tarot, both by Victoria Iva, both published by Brigh, or Brigh. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on the two, and if you prefer one over the other, I'd be interested to hear that as well. Remember that these are available from Cheryl at Oneness Emporium. Also remember that if you buy from Cheryl at Oneness Emporium, so she knows that you've watched this video, use the code Hermits10 here at the bottom at checkout, and you'll get 10% off as well. All right, thanks for watching, everyone, and until next time, go in peace. Namaste and blessed be.